All right, we're at the Ram dealer today. This is actually a dealer I came to just before I bought mine. I didn't buy my Ram here, but I had to come get this filter. We do have another oil change coming up. I got the 3,000 mile oil change on this. I'll give you guys an oil analysis on that. We're gonna check out some Rams. I'm gonna tell you which powertrains I think are worth buying. Now, the first thing I did, I parked next to this RHO here. I wanted to show you guys what this looks like. Actually, the Rebel doesn't compare too bad to that RHO, but these RHOs are pretty sweet looking trucks. Got to give it to them. At Ram, it's actually a little bit easier to recommend things because like on these RHOs, I know they're good trucks. Barry from C-Tech Review, TRD John, a lot of guys have had these. These are amazing trucks. They're just expensive. You know, you're probably not going to get into one, at least in Colorado, for less than, I'd say, probably low 70s here. I tried to get into one and then I measured my garage and the thing wouldn't fit, as you can see. I mean, they're just too wide on the sides and I couldn't fit one of those in my garage, and it was important to me to actually put it in my garage. But most of these RHOs here in Colorado are, man, they're sweet looking trucks, but you know, spending that extra $10,000 to $15,000 and not being able to garage it for me was kind of a deal breaker. Let's take a look here. Yeah, this one's $76,000 on the sticker price. And actually, Ram's got such good deals, you know, you probably could get that down into the low 70s, but it's been pretty hard to negotiate RHOs here. Let's look at some heavy duties. One thing I really like about Ram, well, the design and also the warranty, man. When you get that 10-year, 100,000 mile warranty on them, I've talked about it in the past. With these new vehicles and all the electronics and the powertrains themselves, I just think that it's worth checking out Ram over the other brands right now. The ZF transmissions, whether you're getting the Cummins or the 6.4, Jason Samko's had really good luck with his 6.4, even though it does have cylinder shutoff technology. He hasn't had any problems with it. So I would recommend either the Cummins or the V8 gasser in these 3/4 tons or 3500s. We've got a ton of trucks here, man. Check this out. This is why you can get such a sweet deal at Stellantis and Ram right now. They have a ton of stock, which is great for the consumer. You get rebates, you usually get good financing, and you got pretty good warranties. So I actually would recommend checking them out. At least give them a test drive before you make your decision. All right, we've got a heavy duty here, 3,500. With the Cummins, so 3,500s are going to be a little bit more. Base price $53,000. This is coming in at $66,000, so it's kind of surprising. But it does have Steelies, you know. It's kind of a basic work truck with the long bed. Isn't that amazing that you can get a Cummins turbo diesel 3,500? I mean, it's kind of trimmed down. And you're spending 65 grand versus half of these half tons that are just basic cost more than that. It's wild. The 3/4 tons, Jason Samko talks about this all the time. The 3/4 tons might actually be a better value than the half tons right now. Let's go over here and check out one of these 2,500s. Oh, that's a dually. Trying to find something a little more up my alley. Let's check this one out. $77,000, $65,000 base price. It's a Laramie. Night Crew, $77,000, and it does have the 6.4 Hemi. So yeah, a little bit higher in price. You know, it's going to have more options there. Let's take a look at some Rebels. We'll compare these to the Rebel that I bought. Yeah, the base price $64,000. This one's coming in at $76,000 because it probably has the level 2. Yeah, I believe it has the level 2 package. So $76,000 on the sticker on that Ram Rebel, but you don't have to pay that much. Most of the time with a Rebel, if you go with like the level 1 package, you can get it down into the mid 50s maybe. I've seen that price across the country. So you figure mid 50s for something that already has a factory lift, 1-inch lift, you got off-road tires, you got the skid plate package, and you have most the amenities that you'd want inside the Rebel, I think. And if it's actually too much, if you don't want the big screen inside the Rebel, just go look at the Warlock. I see guys in the Facebook groups picking up the Warlocks for gosh, pretty close to $50,000 for a brand new Warlock. And they've got a little bit more options than say like a Tundra SR5 or something. A little better protection, better wheels, better tires. You got steel bumpers, lots of things on the Ram that I like. Now the one thing I don't like, let's take a look at this e-torque here. So as you can see here, we've got the Hemi badge, but one thing I don't like about the Hemi right now, they've got a limited amount of production on them. But what bugs me is, you know, the price. They upcharge for the Hemi. So this total price is $64,000 for a Bighorn with the Hemi. If you're on the fence about Hemi or Hurricane, I would just go drive them, because you got a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty with both of them. And they're gonna have the same electronics. So like if you're gonna have electronic problems in the Hemi, you're gonna have the same problems in the Hurricane. So really, you know, if you need that torque or you want a little bit faster vehicle, you want something that tows better, the Hurricane's gonna out-tow the Hemi by far. Where you'd buy the Hemi is if you're looking to keep that thing like 15, 20 years. You know, it's a really long-term vehicle for you. Maybe looking to keep it like 200,000 miles, something super long-term. I think that's where the Hemi's gonna fall into favor, or you just like the sound. A lot of people literally buy the Hemi just for the sound, which isn't my style. I like a quiet truck anymore. Loved the sound back in the day when I was in high school, but not so much anymore. And if you're stepping up into something like the 2500 Cummins with the limited night crew package, something like that's gonna be a $100,000 truck. But the difference with Ram is, as I showed you over on the other side, you can pick up one of these with like Steelies on it and still get the Cummins for like $60-some thousand, and then that's just sticker. With Ram, man, you're never paying close to sticker. I'm looking at like a 15% discount on anything here at Ram. That's just how I look at Ram. Probably 15% off sticker is what I would shoot for. I just wouldn't do it. I think that's close to what I got on mine, was about 15% off on the Rebel. You know, when they got all this stock here, you got to consider that they're going to be willing to negotiate. Look, this entire back row here, tons of stock. It's awesome. You get to pick your color, you get to pick your package, but then you also get a lot better negotiation typically. Even the RHOs here. I mean, look at that. I can remember even just back in October, I couldn't find RHOs in Colorado. Now there's plenty of them here. They're probably more willing to negotiate on an RHO. Ram has the Powerline 8 now in these. Now I wouldn't want to work on one or have to deal with it out of warranty. But again, ZF transmissions in all the Rams, whether you're 2500, 3500, or the 1500s, they're much more reliable than what everybody else is putting out, other than Toyota. Toyota's 10-speed's been pretty reliable. And then you've got the powertrains for Ram. Really, none of them are spinning main bearings. So you don't have the problem in Ram powertrains. You have electronic gremlins. You're gonna have those in every vehicle. Every vehicle, including Ram, is gonna have these sensors up front. They're gonna have sensors in the windshield and on the back. Everybody's gonna have the adaptive cruise control. Everyone's gonna have the crap that sends your data up. So they're all gonna have similar problems. You get in snow, every one of them is gonna have the same sensor issues. You know, it doesn't matter what brand you have. You've got tons of electronics on all of them. I see problems with Toyotas. I see problems with GM. I see problem with Ram, but at least Ram isn't spinning main bearings. Like, we got to have some standards here. I have a standard, and it's like your powertrain has to be solid. Beyond that, I'm pretty loose. I'm like, okay, the interior's nice. Good, thumbs up. You know, you start checking off the boxes, but that's how I evaluate these vehicles. And Ram right now, look, I bought this thing. I did not go into this thinking I was gonna buy a Ram, but I did, and here we are. Now I'm doing videos at a Ram dealer. Wasn't doing that a year ago or 2 years ago, it would have been Toyota. So I will say, I'm gonna jump over the Toyota dealer, GM dealer here in a minute, and I should have some videos coming out for all the brands and just kind of what I recommend. This was the easiest video I did, because with Ram, most of their powertrains are great. So all these, I can at least say, hey, yeah, any of them, you're probably gonna be fine. Any of these, Hemi and Hurricane, you're probably gonna be fine. You're probably gonna be okay. But with GM, Ford, and others, it's like hit or miss. Some I'd recommend, and some I'd say, man, don't touch them with a 10-foot pole. So that's where I'm gonna head now. Gonna go to GM, Toyota, and I think Ford, kick out some videos and get some lot walks done for you guys. Thanks for watching. Till next time.